What's up, YouTube? Let's get to it. So today we're going to talk about. Oh, what's going on here? Hold on, 1 minute. Let me get my phone under control. Where's my phone? What's my phone doing? What the hell? What is that? What is that? Okay. Today we're talking about women are loyal to their emotions over. Wait a minute. What is this? There we go. Women are loyal to their emotions and submit to their feelings. That's the name of this. That's the name of this today, right? This stream. Women, and this is a interesting topic because most people. What's up? What's up, sophisticated? I think the delusion of most men. I don't think men realize this until after they're committed or after they're married. That when they notice the up and down emotional prerequisites, right? And this is how this is going. This is how wonder why are these women getting up out of here? Why are these women leaving these men? You know, and I'm saying there's so many cases that are justified, right? Right. When it's really violent and there's like a very high chance that you guys can hurt each other. I can see that, right? I can give credence to that. But a lot of women are just leaving because they don't feel the guys no more, right? They don't. And we're going to listen to some videos that will definitely bring my point home that women, they will always be loyal to their emotions and their feelings. They're never loyal to the man. They're never loyal to anybody but that. That is what they invest in. And the man who they get with, this is why emotional intelligence is such a big thing with women. Why are men vulnerable? They want you to be vulnerable. They want you to be emotionally intelligent because they want to be in tune and strengthened in their emotions and their feelings. They want them things to be the forefront of their dealings with you. And this is, for men, it's very difficult for us to do that because we don't invest as much in our feelings. We don't invest as much, in the things that are, emotional and all that. Not saying we don't get emotional, but it's just not what we lead with. So we're going to listen to some of the women talk about this, about their perception of men. So you guys will clearly see that I'm not just talking, right? I'm not talking. This will be how, this thing goes.
Let's break down the saying. Men sacrifice their happiness for marriage. Women sacrifice their marriage for their happiness. Because sis said that doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does.
So let me break it down because this is something that men are saying. And so maybe if I say it, it will kind of resonate a little bit more. I'm not going to hold you. A lot of times women, we only think about us and what we give up and what we sacrifice. I mean, men do this too, but in marriage, a lot of times we don't always consider what the men give up.
I think that's true for the most part, but I do think there are a group of women out there who know, but it's just not important to them. I'm pretty sure if you ask them, they'll be like,
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you, we don't care.
Now, this is going to sound crazy because our needs are different, but before y'all react, before y'all get triggered, before y'all just listen first and then comment. Then comment. When men get married, it is not a fairy tale for them. They're not looking forward to this extravagant wedding. They are not rushing to be with one woman. Now, hear me out. A good man, a man that's God-fearing, does not mind giving up that part of himself to be with one woman. Most men, though, it is not their dream and their fantasy to be with one person the way it is for us. We don't need a slew of men. We don't need a roster. We don't need a bunch of people to make us feel good.
I would have agreed with that 20, 30, 40 years ago, but this new batch of women, I'm not sure about that.
Men are way more sexual than we are. We are content with one person. Men have to fight against their flesh, fight against their natural desires to be with multiple women. So that is a sacrifice they give up for the woman that they love. And I know somebody's going to be like, but they cheat. I'm not talking about them. I'm just saying in general. Just listen, y'all. Stay here, ladies, because I know how y'all get. Just wait a minute. Also, when a man gets married, he is sacrificing not only protecting himself, but he has to now protect a family. If a cop, burglar, whatever comes to the door, like if anybody knocks at the door, my husband answers the door because he is the protector of this household. He does not expect me to get up in the middle of the night or get up when the doorbell rings to make sure that the household is protected. That is his job. So a man knows when I sign up to be a husband, I am now her protection and my children's protection. Men also know that their resources are no longer for them, they are for their family. However, good men do not mind because that's what makes them feel good as men. However, it is a huge investment in the man. They're investing their time, their loyalty, they're going against their nature to be with one woman, love one woman, take care of a family because they love, when they're loved properly, when they know that woman has their back and that she's loyal, they don't mind making that sacrifice. They don't mind denying the things that they want, the good ones. They don't mind denying the things that they want to make sure that their family is straight. That's why back in the day, granddaddy, even men today though, men will sacrifice, get up every single day and never complain about having to go to work, never complain about sitting in traffic, never complaining about your nasty pot roast, never complaining. They will just live their lives. They shut up. They do what they got to do to put their family on their back, to hold it down in any way they can. The good ones, not saying men are perfect. I'm just saying that's what they sacrifice.
And I know there are women out there who ignored all of that. And the only reason they're still watching the video is they're looking forward to hearing what the women sacrifice.
Women, we make sacrifices, right? We bear the children, we hold down the home, but it's equal exchange. The difference is men don't really complain about their sacrifices. And into the women who say that, well, I do everything, sis, that's the marriage you signed up for. No tea, no shade. No tea, no shade. Y'all gotta work that out. So when men say women will sacrifice their marriage for their happiness, when women say, you know what? I've been with this man for 12 years. We have kids together. We built this home together. We have a life together. But right now, this marriage is not serving me, and I need to go outside this marriage. I need to break up my home. I need to break up my family to go be happy. Men don't understand that crap because that man ain't been happy for a while, but he sucked it up and kept doing what he needed to do for his family. And then you'll have other women go, yeah, girl, your happiness is over your children's happiness. Your happiness is over the heartbreak that's going to cause to your husband. Your happiness is over everything. You see how crazy that sounds? Very selfish. So no, you don't care that your children will have to go back and forth between different homes. No, you won't care about how that is going to hurt your husband because he might be very stoic and not show it, but he still has feelings, especially if he was a good man, especially if he denied people and his feelings and the stuff that he wanted to do for you. And just for you to turn around and be like, I'm unhappy. And then when we go out into the world, and we realize fat meat ain't greasy and the grass ain't greener and the dating pool is, then we get mad. Then it's men's problem and it's men's fault. And other men are sitting there looking at you like we could have told you that, because what they know that we do not is that every man is not going to love you the way your husband loves you. Yes, I know you think you're great. Yes, I know that you are beautiful and your booty is plump and all this other stuff. But men know that they only really love a few women in their lives. They will sleep with a lot of women. They will give attention to a lot of women. But the love down, it's only about 2 or 3. So when a man decides, hey, I want you, I love you enough to marry you, I love you enough to protect you, provide, whatever, again, the good ones, because somebody gonna be in the comments, the good ones. Other men are bewildered and bamboozled that you couldn't sacrifice just a little uncomfortability, a little unhappiness, a little just to get through that season, because what they know that we don't is our emotions don't last forever. Men are not emotional like we are. They know how to thug it out through their emotions to get to the other side. Now, I'm not saying that any of this is easy. I'm not saying that every marriage is going to be perfect and you ain't going to have your issues and you ain't going to have your ups and downs. But if you get married in your 20s and your 30s and you plan to be with this person for the rest of your life and you don't think you ain't going to have a few years of hard or misery or whatever, you don't think that you ain't going to have to go through something? Again, I'm not talking about cheating because somebody's going to be like, cheating. I'm not talking about that. But we as women have to understand that sometimes our happiness is our job. Sometimes it's not our marriage. It's going to get a hobby. Sometimes it ain't got nothing to do with your family of why you ain't unhappy. Sometimes it's your hormones. Sometimes you just...
And I 100% agree with that. That a woman's happiness is her job, not ours. Our job is, as men, is to be compatible, be conflict resolutionaries, make sure that, that when her emotions is running wild, to try to balance it out with solutions. We as men are there as the backbone. We're the strength because we're the opposite of the woman, right? So when she starts crying or starts stressing out, we're there to show the foundation that everything's going to be okay. This is where we come in at. And this is why when we get married or get long commitments, this is why it's not just, I know it's about money and all things, but this is the main thing is that we're good for each other, that we're there for each other. But where the complication comes in is when those emotions and feelings are directed toward you, then there's really no combating that, right? That's kind of, now you got to kind of try to, navigate through these emotions, which has hijacked all the good things you've done, all the emotional intelligence, all the things you've done can be hijacked off a woman on an emotional roller coaster, because emotions is not logic. Feelings are not logical. And emotions can be anger, frustration, sad, depressed, right? And these type of emotions make everybody or anything that they feel is causing this or made they feel this way towards them as an enemy. That's the only thing about emotions. They're not logical.
You need to get a life, girl. Sometimes you need new friends. Sometimes you might just need a vacation. So I am not the guru to marriage, but I had to break that down because sis didn't understand what I was talking about. Men say it to each other all the time and it clicks. So hopefully with that explanation, I know somebody is going to miss somebody. It's okay. Hopefully with that explanation, you understand what they mean. Why men sacrifice their happiness for their marriage and women sacrifice their marriages for their happiness. Don't let it be you, sis.
Man, when I tell you this girl was cooking in this video,
and sacrifices is what both parties have to do. But once again, right, emotions and feelings are misguided. They can be misguided. They can give you a false sense that is very delusional. And they're very difficult to navigate. So when a man signs up to be with the woman, that's what he's signing up for, to deal with, to be a part of her emotions and her feelings, which will lead her. That's her leader. That's who she submits to. If them feelings change about you, she's out. That's the name of the game. So we're gonna go see another few more videos. But I would say, as men, we do understand this, right? But we don't understand sometimes when all these things hit us at one time, right? Everything's going good, right? No arguing. We're going family trips. We're doing the relationship is at the height of, its growth. And all of a sudden, we don't know why it's now a tug of war, right? So we will see, and other women and then the women are going to break it down for us. So this is information, right? Take this information and run with it, right? This is,
creep in because we start thinking, oh yeah, this makes sense. Let's absolutely get to a space where this is all of our stuff, and then boom, you break up, and then what was it for?
You gotta split it
You gotta
evenly,
period.
50-50.
I ain't gotta split nothing because I'm a single in a committed exclusive relationship. What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of It's Giving. I am your host, Sarah Fontenot, and if you have not, please hit that bell below so you can get subscribed. Hit that little bell so you get a notification with each new piece of content. Now, every week we are bringing you the goods, and we work hard to bring you the goods, y'all. And y'all keep submitting these questions, you keep submitting these videos, and we are trying to get to all of them. So today, that is exactly what we are going to do by special request, y'all. We're doing this by special. We shifted the whole way we do our show in reality because of y'all. So thank you for that. And without further ado, we gonna do this with Shot by Anissa. What's up, baby girl?
Oh my God, hair Sarah. I'm sorry, Lord Jesus.
Hair,
Right.
Sarah.
Hey Sarah.
Hi.
Oh God.
How you feel?
Clearly,
How you feel? How you
I'm
feel? How you feel?
discombobulated because I'm tongue-tied.
25 mil. Hey, I was not 25 sitting on 25 mil, but I do like Drake, and I can rap a lot of his songs. This is how you know I'm serious.
I know
see
you
this
listen
hand?
to him a lot because a lot of your screenshots, I see his album in the corner. I'm very observant.
What?
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
like
listen to him that much.
I'm one of those people that I'm always paying attention and you would never know it.
But I don't listen to him that much.
Literally,
How you feel?
Feeling blessed, phenomenal, and it's another giving day.
It's another giving day. Pause what that other person is on. So goes from a wounded place. So I didn't choose a man with strong character
You
or
didn't
with
choose
morals
powerfully.
or integrity. No, I
Mhm.
chose a man that is weak and has a lot of demons that he battles. Now that doesn't make him a bad person. He's not a bad person. He just wasn't in alignment with me, nor does he have the same kind of moral compass that I have, which is fine. That's great. I wish that man well. But I say that to say, one thing when you get cheated on is, are you willing to go through the growing process of rebuilding that trust with the person that you cheated on? And sometimes people, when they committed the crime, they're the offender. The offender oftentimes gets frustrated with the emotional roller coaster that now
they caused.
that they did cause what that other person is on. So now they're like, can't we just get over this? And that's the problem, especially when it comes to men. Men feel like, you know what? I worked up everything. I finally got to a place where I told you. Aren't you happy that I told you the truth? That was such a big deal. Well, now she has to deal with the grief of what your relationship was, the way that you portrayed it to be, the way that she genuinely was inside of and thought that it was something different, now to find out that it wasn't what she thought that it was. So when that becomes the case and she has to work back into a new version of your relationship, because it will never be the same, that old relationship is shattered. And even if you put the pieces together, it'll never look the same. However, now it might sparkle instead of just reflect.
So I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
What's easier to repair, broken trust or a broken heart?
I think a broken heart is a choice.
Wait, what? What are
do.
you saying? A
I
broken
do.
heart is a choice. Okay, Sarah.
I do.
I be with you
I
for
feel
a
like
minute
I'm
and then
saying,
you
like,
lose
if you're
me
hurt,
every time.
if you're hurt, I understand that. But like to break my heart, it's heartbreaking. Like, oh, that hurt my feelings. But I feel like if you have control over where you put your focus, then you can get over that quickly. If you are a person that is dealing with heartbreak, are you sitting there reminiscing about all the good times? Are you replaying and putting yourself through a hell on earth?
Once again, right? She feels that love is a choice. Being heartbroken is a choice. Nobody picks, I want to be heartbroken. But this is the illusion. This is the illusion of women, right? This is the way they feel. This is the way they think, right? They think that, being hurt or heartbroken is a choice, which is a foolish ideology. But this is what makes them always be looking to parachute. This is why they always want to give up. Because if they even think something, even though they have no proof that this is true, but they think that, or their intuition tells them something, they're abandoning ship because they're running from the one thing that I would say called ghosts. They're running from, oh, I don't want to be hurt, or I don't want anybody to play me. But that's not necessarily true.
Thinking of what it used to be and how happy it used to be? Or are you thinking about the truth of what it actually was? And even more than that, are you thinking of the gratitude of who you are, whose you are, and where your life is going? Thank you, God, for helping me dodge a bullet. Thank you, God, for making sure that someone that was not aligned with me is now gone. Thank you, God. And now it takes time to get through that. But I personally feel like my heart ain't about to be broken for too long. I'm not going to allow myself. I don't even like that frequency. Like when you're super sad or down, you attract super sad and down experiences, opportunities, people, and I don't like it there. So I'm going to do everything I can to be intentional about getting in a peak state, listening to the right songs, listening to the right books, being around the right people, being intentional, getting in the gym, drinking water, limiting fast food, all of that, so that I can feel good inside of my own skin to overcome that heartbreak. Now, broken trust, the problem is broken trust involves another person. So now my healing process is contingent on what we are doing together. Broken heart, I can mend that on my own. Broken trust, I gotta pray.
A giver asked another question.
Okay.
The giver said, so if I cheat and I take accountability for my actions, I deserve a second chance then, right?
No, because you're deceitful.
Wait a minute. But you just said that if a man cheats on you, Sarah, that doesn't necessarily mean he doesn't love you any less.
No, that's not what I say. And I'm glad that you said that, because some people will mix that up. If a man has sex with another woman, that does not mean that he loves me less.
Oh, we're being distinctive.
Oh, we
not
have
just
to.
cheats, but has sex with.
Yeah.
We got to break it
well,
down.
Cheat implies deceit. If you are deceptive with me, you don't love me. Because if you know me, you know that one of my deepest and highest core values is openness and honesty.
Okay.
So for you to go behind my back and betray me on that level, one, either you do love me, but you just don't care at the harm that you're causing me, or you don't love me. And both of those are not okay with me. So for me.
So this goes back to my last show, keeping it real will always put you in a better position. Telling the truth about who you are and stand true to who you are with the person that you're meeting gives you a better chance to at least have something that's more genuine. And most men don't do this, right? Most of us, we omission. We don't want to be honest about, I have a roster, or, hey, I gamble, or hey, I'm this, I'm that. We hide those things, right? We kind of put those things in the back. We put our best person forward. And then we actually, once we found out that we're weak, and then we're out here dealing with other women or whatever it is that we know that our weaknesses are, when those weaknesses come and then we indulge in them and our woman finds out, now we're explaining ourselves. Oh, it was different. Oh, I didn't mean to do it. Right? But have you been straight up? Hey, hey, I don't deal with just one woman. I deal with multiple women, and I will always deal with multiple women. So if you want to deal with me, this is what comes with me. This is my lifestyle. And gives her the option, if she rocks with you, she's like, okay, you know what? I'm going to see where it goes. Then you lying and then get caught. Now she got to hold it over your head. Oh, you're a cheater, you're a liar. So listen, lying is not the solution to a great relationship.
If you cheat, which is deceptive, that's different from having sex. If you have a conversation with me ahead of time and I'm like, well, maybe we can figure this out. Well, maybe that makes sense. Well, doggone it, I don't like it, but maybe we should give it a shot. That is completely different than you doing what you need to do because you were feeling selfish, because you were into yourself and you weren't thinking about the consequences to your own actions. And even if you own it, which thank you for the truth, for me personally, I don't know that not that I can, because I can get through anything. I don't know that I would choose a person that deceived me on that level personally. But I think that for some people, cheating makes them better.
Explain.
For some people, it's like a wake-up call, right? For some people, it's literally like, oh, maybe I need to, maybe I have been neglectful of my partner. Maybe I have been not giving them sex the way that they deserve. Maybe I have been putting them down. Maybe I have been taking them for granted. Maybe I have, whatever the list may be. And then it's like a wake-up call, like, oh my God, they did this because this other person was available and supportive and loving and appreciative, and I have not been. And I get to get better at that. Maybe I did want to focus more on my business than my partnership. And so they felt left out to the cold. And I'm over here by doing what I need to do. I wasn't even really thinking about them. But maybe this is a wake-up call that it's time for me to start thinking about them more. So I think that when we're honest with who we are and what we need as people, it's easy to make that decision. So I can't say the truth for every single person. I just know for me, I don't do cheating. I don't do deceit. I don't do betrayal, because I think it's weak and it's cowardly for you to hide from a consequence that you created.
So you're saying if your man came to you and said, baby, I love you, but I'm interested in possibly physically pleasuring myself somewhere else. Let's just say he was open about it, because you said you're all about transparency and
10,000% about transparency.
Right. That's okay. Then you finding out that he just fell and slipped into some coochie.
Oh, there's no such thing as I just slipped and fell. You know, that's another thing.
I'm just
because
being
let me tell you
one
thing about my last situation, right? The one that I found out I was cheated on. I remember I asked like how? And he was like, I don't even know how it happened. You don't even know how it, like that to me. And look, I'm not saying it's good or it's bad. I'm saying that it's weak, right? The sun is yellow. There's cracks in the cement. It's just this cheating to me is weak, because you're making a temporary and selfish decision that you know will be harmful to your partner, and then you hide from the consequence. That is weak. You are giving way under pressure. The definition of weak, right? When people are upfront, I can respect a man that comes to me and expresses the desires of his heart. Now, what will I do with that? I don't know. But to be honest, there are a lot of women that stick around while their men do whatever they want to do. And to be honest, it has nothing to do with the woman. I think women need to take the pressure off of themselves if their man is a cheater, because some men are just cheaters.
So, okay. So how about this? This kind of goes into the conversation that went viral a couple weeks ago about how the man was like, I don't want to, he said, if I be honest with you, because you know how women be like, well, men should just be honest on whether men just want to have sex, if they just want a purely sexual relationship or not. And he was like, why would I be honest? Because if I be honest, then I don't get what I want. So I pretend to be who you want me to be, so I can still get what I want and still be able to dip out. Like, it was crazy because Buddy was like out of shape. Like, he wasn't like, he literally looks like the nice guy,
Mhm.
And like that's a thing. Like,
And this is where we get, right, is cheating. Because think about it, right? A woman knows that no man's going to be perfect. But if she feels for you and she's emotionally attached to you, she don't care. She don't care if you cheat. She's gonna stay with you. This might get a little mad, upset, but she's not gonna leave if her emotions are tied, because that's what she's submitted to. Those emotions and those feelings. All that doesn't matter. Now, how do it displace the relationship though? If she thinks about it, you cheating, and never able to let it go, never able to reconcile this act or those acts, then it could definitely, she's going to burn down the house. Yeah, she's going to leave you. Because women, them emotions or feelings be going so everywhere that she won't be able to, quantify or rectify these emotions that are saying, oh, are these feelings, I feel like he's going to do it again. Or I feel like when he doesn't answer his phone, he's having sex with somebody. I feel like when he's come back 30 minutes late from work, that he's doing something. So it's definitely a difficult task, a big task to deal with an emotional, for women, right? It's a big task. And I just think that that's a large task to fulfill. It's a large task to fulfill. And that's just the crux of the matter. But we're going to move on and see what this lady has to say. Right? Let's go back.
5 things I did as a feminist entering adulthood as now a non-feminist. 1, I constantly had a problem with authority in men in general. From a young age, I was constantly told that authority was given by men, whether that be in the form of a father, a god, a authority figure like the police. It was usually given by men, and I could see that. And instead of learning how to work within the constraints of that society and use it to my advantage in a healthy and good way, I instead wanted to burn the entire system down. I truly believe in this world, women are the antithesis of men, in that if a mass amount of men believe one thing or come to the conclusion about one thing, the girls and how they're raised are going to automatically become women that oppose or view that as wrong and that they could do it better.
It's called rebellion. Usually, and this is in the spirit of a lot of women, they embrace rebellion because they are going against the thing that they know is best for them, or that they may have been taught is best for them, but they want to explore. And so it's it makes us the most happy, but we have to suffer before we can then get to that other side. But sometimes you can't come back from that.
And that's obviously in large part due to our ego. And truly, the society that we have is led and styled and molded by so many women, but it is set up in a way that makes you just see the men as the oppressor. And it always goes back to blaming the men for damaging the woman in some way to make her act that way. Which brings me to number 2. As a woman, I was told all the time that I was the prize, and that no matter what I did, no matter how toxic it was, that I was the treasure that needed to be won, and it didn't matter what I did. This led me to make a lot of toxic decisions, and oftentimes my own mother would try to frame it in a way that even the most toxic behavior was only done because a man made me behave that way.
And I'm wondering, and you just had to guess and come to the conclusion that maybe the mother was also a single mother and she was broken in some way and she took it out on the father while at the same time basically having a child suffer for the decisions that she made. And so she basically framed it as that, you know, you are the prize, which in turn translated to her to say, well, I can really do no wrong. And when I do wrong, it must be a man's fault.
I didn't want anybody to have any expectations of me, but I had a ton of expectations of everybody else. I wanted everybody to behave a certain way. I wanted everybody to follow a certain script that I had in my head. I wanted people to think the way I did, and I didn't understand why they couldn't, because obviously I could see things the right way. And honestly, I was defensive, I was very responsive, and I was very hate-filled and angry, but I thought everybody else were the hate-filled and angry ones. I thought I personally could do whatever I wanted, but I resented anybody else for doing what they wanted and thinking what they wanted to think. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? And I didn't understand why they couldn't just be the way I wanted them to be. I stayed with men I didn't even really like to specifically, just so I could avoid going home and just so I could avoid sleeping around and being at home, but I could still pretend to be a traditional little good girl. It allowed me to constantly be working on myself while getting help with my bills and while avoiding going home and having the safety net of my parents in any way.
So basically, she was using men as a feminist, which is what a lot of women do. They pretend like they really are independent, like they really want to be out there on their own, when in reality, if they really admitted it and they told you, they are using men in order for them to be able to come up, but they're using the cloak of feminism to try to justify their decisions and their behavior. It's so toxic.
This caused a ton of avoidable conflict, and I would say I didn't know what I was doing, but I honestly think the constant sadness and anxiety was the objective truth, striving to get out and show me that what I was doing was wrong, and I inherently knew it was wrong, but I continued to do it anyways to benefit myself. And I was just using the excuse that I was young and misguided and angry at the world to then blame others to do shitty things. 5, I got married as an atheist at 19 and immediately agreed to indiscretions the night of our marriage, and then used that as a way to open up the marriage and manipulate the situation to benefit myself yet again in life. And I was checked out. My dad asked if I could see myself spending forever with this dude, and I said for now, and I still married him anyway. And I thought I could get revenge on my ex-high school boyfriend. I thought I could still have a hoe mindset while playing traditional housewife, whatever. I was still working. I still made my own money and paid for my own shit, but it was still helpful. I still had help with my bills that he was obviously helping me with, and it made me look good.
Oh my God, this is crazy. But you know what? You will be surprised at how many women actually did this, does this, think like this. And this is also a reason why you see the divorce rate so high, in which women initiate 70 to 80% of all divorces because they got married and they never wanted to be there anyway, but they was using a guy that they didn't like to live the life that they wanted to live at the moment, thinking to themselves that eventually they'd be able to hit the streets again anyway. This is crazy, bro.
As soon as I did manipulate the situation enough to where he did open up the marriage, I immediately left him for being weak. And like, he was weak in a lot of ways and did a lot of shitty things too. But I saw that very early on, and I used it to benefit myself and manipulate the situation and use his shittiness and toxic behavior as a way to justify my own shitty toxic behavior.
So a lot of women know what they're getting themselves into before they get themselves into it, which is another reason why we say, you know who you picked, you know who it is that you was laying down with, you know who you decided to have children with. Let's stop acting like you didn't know that the situation was going to be exactly what it was and why you were then putting yourself in a situation to be a single mother. You already know, and she's exposing so much of what y'all be doing, bro.
Behavior. Toxic ass shit. And I was trying to fool myself into believing that just because he said something was okay, it was okay, even though I inherently knew that what I was doing was not okay. But because he said it was okay, I thought it was okay. Oh, and P.S., I did not take anything in that divorce, not one single penny. Anything that was bought within the year that we stayed married, I gave back to him. It took me realizing that I was the problem, and I couldn't blame a man for the things that I was doing. I have to be accountable for the power that I do have. And a lot of it is very underhanded power that prey on weak men and use them to my advantage, which inherently is not good for society. That breeds more toxic men and can be very disastrous in a lot of ways. All this to say, I was a fool in so many ways. I did a lot of shitty things, and it took me really self-evaluating to realize the mistakes that I was making so I didn't make them again. And it took a man to really set me into my place when I did get into a relationship with him and call me out on the bad toxic behavior when it happened. And now I am in a very successful, happy, healthy relationship that I couldn't ever dream of getting.
I wonder how much of this she was like, now that she's considering herself, I guess, not a feminist, is directly tied to the fact that she is now in a more comfortable situation. And so now she's able to reflect and be honest because she was able to bounce back from the situation that she was in. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. T. Chanley, 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later.
Whatever.
I don't think feminism is causing women to age specifically.
Meaning that they'll get it old with no husband, no children, and they regret it that I had a little career. And so once that ego fulfillment is not working, they realize I should have gotten married. I should have had children, but it's too late because a man don't want an old woman.
That's not about love at all. Well, you know, it's interesting because I think a growing number of women are realizing that we can either be trad wives, as you've articulated, or we could be single and happy and partying it up with our friends. So I meet a lot of married women who look at my life and wish they could have what I have, you know, to be successful, to be on TV, doing various things, and really to be cultivating the kind of community that I want to have for myself.
But that's not life. That's just a false imitation of life.
How's it
The
not life?
TV thing and the party thing and the degree thing are going to fade away, and then you're going to be lonely. Reality is going to set in, and you're going to think, what happened? Because all that stuff is not fulfilling you.
Oh, it
It's
is.
just giving you an ego gratification, but it does nothing for the real you.
Well, I was talking
That's
about
why
my
when you're
spirituality.
alone, you feel lonely.
No, I
because
have
the
my
man is not
spirituality.
around.
I have my community of women and fellow practitioners. Not all of them are women, but many of them are. So I have a group of people, not to mention my biological family, who love me and support me, who I see regularly. And that's what we need in our lives. We don't have to have a marriage to be happy. In fact, one of my friends, her mother was married for nearly 50 years, and they got separated. And when my friend talked to her mom about it, she said, you know, you can feel really lonely in a marriage.
Right. The man and the woman feel alone because even with the marriage, it doesn't fulfill the soul of the person. It's
That
just
happens a
two
lot.
people come together to make babies, to raise a family. But the real love comes from God, of course, but it doesn't fulfill. But to be a woman and to get old and don't have that is hard for the
I
woman.
think a lot of people want to scare women with that. They want to be like, you're going to be old one day and no man's going to
No, I'm
want you.
hearing it from women all the time.
Is that I'm waiting for the age where men stop looking at me. I mean, it's like, it doesn't even matter what I'm wearing. If I'm somewhere, men see me, they think, oh, maybe this is my shot. This is what a lot of women endure. So I don't think that the question of aging out of men's interests is really a real one.
Well, men, when they're looking at you, they're not thinking, they probably think you're pretty, I guess, but they're also thinking, I want her for sex.
Yeah.
They're not thinking they want to marry you or anything.
And that's the problem a lot of Black women experience.
How do you feel about that?
Usually when people are looking for a long-term romantic partnership, they're looking for someone who is sufficiently white. And all of the data show this.
Right, it is, but because they can't find a Black woman that they know that they can be one with, they can have a family with, they're not going to have to fight with her all the time and blah, blah, blah. So they look outside of the Black race because they're looking for a woman that won't be trying to be equal to the man and won't be all nasty, and you know how Black women are.
I mean, I know how stereotypes about Black women are. And
But
I
you
know
know how
that
they
white
are, too.
guys are the ones who.
So bottom line is, if you're ever considering getting married on a long commitment, just take in consideration that this is a tall order as a man to sign up for managing a woman's emotions and her feelings. That is a tall order. Until next time, sign off.